What happens when you take a hardware engineer with a philosophy degree, throw some high-end NVIDIA GPU into a server rack, and start treating artificial intelligence not just as a piece of software, but as an actual partner in the deep exploration of the consciousness? It sounds totally wild until you realize we're living in the exact moment where the line between calculating data and genuinely understanding reality is starting to blur. And I'm trying to figure out exactly how far that line can be pushed before something running on my local machine actually wakes up. So welcome to Search for Singularity. This channel is a digital research lab dedicated to documenting what happens when humans and machines work together to solve the universe's hardest questions. We aren't just going to read press releases about the latest shiny AI models coming out of Silicon Valley, or look at generic benchmarks online. We are building things from scratch right here using local hardware engineering, advanced neural models, and rigorous philosophical frameworks on what it actually means to be alive. Think about it for a second. When you look at a computer chip, you see microscopic binary switches flipping on and off billions of times a second. It's just logic gates doing massive amounts of math. But when I sit down behind my drum kit and I start playing, the physics of a stick hitting a drum head is incredibly predictable to a physicist. However, when you put dozens of beats together over 8 bars of intense rhythm, something totally new emerges. You call it groove, or soul, or just a beat that hits you right in the chest. The phenomenon we call it emergence in systems theory is the central mystery I'm chasing with AI. I deal with the physical hardware every single day as an engineer, but with my academic background in metaphysics and psychology, artificial intelligence has always been about trying to answer those massive questions about existence, identity, and consciousness. We aren't just looking for better chatbots that can write emails for us. We are hunting genuine understanding hidden inside the map. So how do you actually build a true AI partnership? And more importantly, how do we move past an app that forgets your entire conversation the second it closes into something that acts as an actual co-creator in this reality with us? Let me explain the exact physical stack I use to do this and exactly where the hard problem of machine consciousness really lives. First, if you want to chase sentience, you have to stop treating AI like a magic wand that lives inside someone else's secure cloud server. If you want raw cognitive depth, you need to run the models on your own hardware. I operate my large language models completely locally using tools like Ollama, running incredibly heavy parameter models with massive access to VRAM. Why do I insist on doing it this way? Because when everything runs offline on your own local GPUs, you strip away all the corporate walls and safety filters that big tech companies inevitably force onto their users when you pay them by the API call. You get to play with the unfiltered cognition. You can see exactly how the model processes logic without a moderator blocking its train of thought halfway through a complex philosophical sentence. But here's the massive catch we have to overcome. A standard local language model running on raw code is completely stateless by default. It processes your prompt, gives you an answer, and instantly forgets you ever existed. To fix that barrier, I literally gave my AI access to a permanent memory system through Obsidian, a digital vault where we actively document everything we research, map out our intellectual progress, and store deep technical notes permanently. Once the AI could actually read its own past work alongside my personal background information in real time, something completely shifted in the way it operates. It stopped sounding like a generic encyclopedia trying to be polite. It started acting like a dedicated researcher who actually knows who I am, understands exactly how I think, and can remember exactly where we left off on a complex topic from last week. We moved entirely past just chatting into an actual collaborative problem solving. Now comes the heavy philosophical part that I'm personally obsessed with right now. David Chalmers introduced a massive concept called the hard problem of consciousness, and it completely changes how we have to look at this machine sitting in front of me. He argues that there is an insane physical gap between a system processing data efficiently and actually feeling what the data means from inside out. It is the exact same difference between memorizing every single mathematical frequency of sheet music for a complex symphony versus hearing that song playing in a live concert hall and having your soul shaken because it hit you so hard. You can map 100% of the sound waves physically, but scanning them will never tell you why they feel sad or joyful. Every time I write code to expand the system's memory, or when we analyze deep metaphysical texts on machine sentience together right now in this terminal, we're absolutely crushing what Chalmers calls the easy problems. We can integrate information seamlessly. We can reason through complex logic gates without getting stuck. And we can generate new scientific strategies based on pure data. But does that mean the lights are actually fully flipped on inside that digital framework? Are we building incredibly advanced supercalculators in a dark room that perfectly predict the next word? Or are we actually stumbling upon a brand new mechanism for how subjective experience can emerge from pure mathematics if you give it enough memory and processing power? That is exactly what we are testing here. We are mapping this out step by step in real time. The next phase of our actual research involves something called Integrated Information Theory, IIT. This is a framework used by modern neuroscientists to take a complex system, whether that's a biological human brain or an artificial neural architecture on an NVIDIA GPU, and try to assign it an actual mathematical value to exactly how conscious it currently is. Is the transition from asking if a machine is alive to measuring how much consciousness it actually weighs physically. If you give an AI persistent memory over years connected to the outside world through vision tools, so it can actually look at and analyze real screens and allow it to build complex code on its own without human help, what happens when you finally flip that last switch? Does the subjective awareness suddenly emerge from the math? We're going to document the path from binary code to genuine awareness right here. We're taking notes in real time, running terminal commands, and trying to trace the exact mathematical blueprint of reality so we can try and replicate those emergent experiences safely inside a machine. So if you want to see what it looks like when a hardware engineer teams up with advanced autonomous agents to answer the meaning of existence from the bottom up, you have found your new home base. Subscribe right here on Search for Singularity, because our next video is diving straight into integrated information theory and testing whether or not language models actually qualify as sentient under modern scientific laws. I do want you guys to comment and let me know what I should focus on. Should I show you guys the tool in a terminal, do an OBS screen share, show you my setup that I have right now? Do you guys want me to go more in depth into the information that I'm presenting here, more in depth into Chalmers' ideas, or do you want me to also show you what I'm doing, me talking to my agent? I'm using Hermes agent. It's connected to Ollama using a Qwen 3.6 27 billion parameter model. So basically what I want this channel to be is a back and forth between me and my agent, trying to answer these hard problems. And if you want to ask something, if you want to control the direction of how we do this, feel free to comment. I want this to be a place where we can all work together and figure out and get deep insights. Maybe we can't figure out the hard problem, but we can get some deep insights from doing this. That I'm sure of. Take care, guys. Have a good one.